So we're good?
We sound good.
But are we really good?
I'm never really good.
Fucking same. Alright, well, let me get a timer.
Oh yeah, we need a timer. Jesus Christ, this is gonna be a shit episode. I can't wait.
Ladies and gentlemen, we bring you our master of ceremony.
Welcome back to the Nerd Faction podcast. I had an intro plan too. You put me on the spot.
What?
I had an intro plan.
You can do your intro.
I forgot what I was
The
gonna
timer
say.
is for my sake, not for you.
Well, too late. I already did the intro. God damn it.
Damn it.
Okay. So let's just roll right into it. What were we gonna talk about?
Okay, hang on. You know what? Let me
Let's
go ahead
talk
and read
about-
a text message that I got from you actually when we were trying to plan this podcast. Here,
You wanted to get the COPPA thing out of the way, right?
Well, of course I want. Okay, dude, don't even get. Okay, hang on.
I don't know why you're so fired up about
Dude,
this.
I'm super fired up about this. Okay, because Okay, hang on. First, let me walk this back a second ago. Okay, because earlier I tried to plan out or be prepared for what we're going to talk about today. So I asked you.
That was a bad idea.
Okay, I asked you, hey, what are we going to talk about today? And your response, a little bit of Star Wars and Disney, Call of Duty, and if you want to bring up COPPA.
I mean, it's your thing.
I mean, okay. Let me talk about COPPA for a second, okay?
Go
because
ahead.
I'm actually
The floor is
super jazzed about this COPPA shit.
Are
All
you
right,
fucking heated?
dude. I'm a little bit heated, and let me tell you why. I'm a little
Okay.
bit heated because this COPPA shit has already affected me in a way that, like, okay, you know me, right? I upload a video like once a year, okay? Because I just get bored and then I do a thing. This is the
Right.
first like consistent thing I've wanted to do with anyone for like a long time on YouTube, okay? And when I uploaded the first episode of this podcast, I had to fill out a like not fill out, but like I had to, identify the video if it was fit for children or not.
It's not.
It's not. So obviously I labeled it as it's not, right? But
Yes.
the issue, okay, the issue I'm having with this shit is that like, okay, so the whole thing about COPPA, okay, it's to protect kids. It's a law that is being made to protect kids under the age of 12. Or sorry,
Wasn't
13.
already made?
It's already been made. It's already been a thing, but YouTube has been deemed as not COPPA compliant.
Yes.
Because
Okay.
they were jackasses and were literally bragging in public statements that they were one of the most popular platforms, outperforming television for children ages 6 to 11.
I mean, that's probably a pretty fair statement, but yes.
It's a fair statement, which is, fine, because if you look at Logan and Jake Paul, right, their audience is like 8 years old. It's a fair
Yeah,
statement.
which still doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah,
It's like, and they get like premium ad dollars.
exactly.
Like, I don't. But
And-
whatever.
And the whole thing is to protect children from those targeted ads. And of course, right, YouTube's out here running their fucking mouths. So because of that, the FTC charged them like $170 million. Okay? And the stipulation of this lawsuit also claims that they have to clean up their act and implement policies that will allow them to be more COPPA compliant. Hence why I had to identify on our shitty little channel that just started that, that each video individually will not be appropriate for kids. And that's fine for us, right? Because we're just getting started. Like, it's not that big a deal. We have one video out that is the first episode of the podcast.
A whole 14
A
views.
whole
baby. Let's
14
go.
views, baby. Thank you. We're going strong. I contributed 4 of those myself just
Straight
to make
to
sure the
that.
shit was working,
I'm pretty sure I had another 5, and then our friends had the rest of them.
which is fine, because, we're doing this for us, right? But that's the
True.
problem is that if they get their way, we might not be able to do this even just for us, because one of the policy changes that is kind of a big deal, not as big a deal as everyone's thinking probably, but it's still kind of a big deal, is that YouTube will have the ability to just straight up delete channels or videos that they deem not commercially viable. Okay.
Now, is that if you say you're not child friendly, they can still do that? Or is that like if you say you're child friendly and then it turns out you're not, they can delete you?
Ideally, it is supposed to eliminate the possibility of children being exposed to targeted ads. So in the perfect world, right, if you say that you are for children, you will not be able to make that video have targeted ads within it. Okay. So ideally, the videos for children would not have as many ads, right? Okay, here's the fucking issue. here's the kink in the system, my guy, is that YouTube is not run by people. Okay, all of the fact checking, or not fact checking, all of the you know, the copyright claims, all these flag systems, they're all run by algorithms and robots, which, you know, is fair because it's a ridiculous platform. No amount of humans are going to be able to keep track of this shit. Okay,
right. It's like so many like millions of hours are uploaded
like every day, every minute. Like I believe it's like 40 million hours worth of content, some shit like that, that no one watches. It's all garbage. But the robots are the ones keeping track of that. The thing is that they will also, of course, be in charge of keeping track of the COPPA system. So, you know, I put a Pokemon in our thumbnail. We talked about Pokemon for a while. Baby Yoda is the only visual thing on our podcast last episode. Star Wars is seen in the eyes of marketing a franchise for children. So is Pokemon, of course, because that's their prime audience, their targeted audience. The system might see that and say, wait a minute, this is meant for children. They've only said that it's not for children just so they can, you know, have targeted ads on their video.
Well, okay, so from what I've seen is I know that they opened up the what is it? Like the forum basically to voice your opinions, concerns, and all that stuff till December, whatever it is. I think it all just comes down to how you interpret if somebody is friendly for kids or not, and then, you know, what defines that. Because from what I saw, it was like a thing, like obviously imagery is a part of it, but also like content there within, and like language, and oh wait, actually I have it right here. The rules set out additional factors the FCC will consider in determining whether your content is child directed. These are the rules set out for it or whatever.
Right.
So the subject matter, visual content, the use of animated characters or child-oriented activities and incentives. I don't know what child-oriented incentives are, but okay. The kind of music or other audio content, the age of models, the presence of children celebrities or celebrities who appeal to children. That one's a little weird. Language or other characteristics of the site, whether advertising that promotes or appears on the site is directed to children, and competent and reliable empirical evidence about the age of the audience. So that last one is kind of like that one's a little worrisome because it's like competent and reliable empirical evidence about the age of the audience, because YouTube has the analytics. So, but it's like I can't stop kids from watching whatever kids are going to watch because it doesn't matter. Like,
right. And it's not about if the kids are watching. It's about, do they think the kids are watching? And the thing about this law, or the system that will be trying to be COPPA compliant, is that yes, it is about, you know, your interpretation of it. Here's the issue with the wording of the law. The issue is that it has been written by people that don't even understand what the concept of YouTube is. That has been confirmed by the CEO of YouTube, or I think it's the CFO. I think her name is Susan
Wojcicki,
whatever, however the hell you say that name. She publicly stated that, yeah, like half of her job, or not half of her job, but like one of her duties is to go to these legislative forums and explain to the people what YouTube is so they can make laws based off these things. And these guys don't even own cell phones. How do you
Right.
explain a whole culture? Because it is a heavy influence on culture. How do you explain that to people that are so disconnected from that they don't even know how to create these laws? How do you make a law based on something you don't know?
Well, I think that's why. I mean, one thing, it's good to see that they opened up the forum and they're continuing it and they're like taking in input. And then it's just going to come down to how you define it, which I mean, the COPPA laws were made like back when the internet was barely even in an infancy of who knows what.
Yeah.
I mean, just in the amount of time from 2000 to now, how rapidly it's evolved is, ridiculous. So, I mean, when this was all made, there's no way they could have seen what this was going to be.
Yeah.
So I get that that's why it's like so vague right now. I think it's just if they put in the effort to fix it to not be so vague and not be this kind of like, well, at any moment you could get, the ban hammer and like lose a livelihood if you're one of those people because the rule is interpreted one way whenever, there's not like a clear define. I think the other big problem is there's no way for like there's nothing telling people like, okay, if you follow these lines, you'll be okay. There's no like set because like all of the set of rules like it goes over what will be considered, but it doesn't say like okay, well how does my subject matter? Like obviously if you're talking about like very adult oriented like politics and stuff like that, that's not going to be targeted
Right.
towards kids. But like subject matter like you were talking about with our like Star Wars and stuff like that, like Disney is obviously very child oriented
Yeah,
thing.
it's for kids. It's a
So
target
it's like
audience.
that's what I'm saying. It's like, so subject matter is just broad, which I get it has to be broad because otherwise, if you make things too strict, you get loopholes and you get people who circumvent the system. And then if it's written down, then even if you can't be like, well, that's, we wrote it down like that, but you should have known better. It's like, well, no, the law said, so you can't do anything about it and people
Yeah.
will exploit it. So I get why they can't be super strict, but I also think that they're very vague right now. And I think that's why they're keeping the forum open and all that so they can gather the information on it. Because in the ideal situation, they listen, they narrow down the guidelines, they give more guidelines on, like, okay, this, this is where the safe area is, this is where the gray area is, this is how you can interpret it a little better and work around it. And then also, it's going to come down to a lot of like, I don't think the F like
The
I
FTC.
think it's a lot. Yeah, I don't. Well, I'm just trying to think of how I would word this because I don't want to say like there's no fault to the FTC
Right.
because I mean it really like yeah they're a bunch of old people who don't know how YouTube works, but they do just want the interest of children, looked out for. I think it's a thing with YouTube to where you know it's just kind of been allowed to grow this crazy, which is nice because it's such an open market for YouTube. You can do literally whatever as long as it's not like pornography and illegal
Yeah.
or any other shady, very morally corrupt things. You can do it. Fine. You can cuss up a storm and like, whatever it is you want to do,
Yeah.
you can do that, which is okay, which is nice. But at the same time, like you can't just make the YouTube Kids app and be like, oh well, we have the Kids app, so everything's okay. Like I can't blame the FTC for being like that's not good enough.
Yeah.
So I
No,
can't
YouTube
blame the FTC for being
100%
like,
messed up.
yeah, because I mean, I could see people like, well, we have like YouTube Kids, that should be good enough, and like I see why the FTC would be like that's not good enough because it's not because kids have phones at like 8 now, and parents also. I mean, it kind of comes down to parents, but to each their own. But most parents aren't strictly monitoring what their kid's doing. They give them the phone, the kid shuts up for 3 hours because he's on YouTube. Like, okay, everything's fine,
Yeah.
you know. And if majority of the time the kid is watching like Ryan's Toys reviews, then yeah, everything's cool, it's fine. But then that one time he finds like a video for like somebody who's not child friendly or whatever, but it was like a Fortnite thing,
Hmm.
then that's when it can become a problem. But I think it's just they need to lay it out more clear and strict guidelines on things they will be considering, like and specifics. Like I think the big thing is like if you're somebody who really likes Pokemon or even Fortnite, because Fortnite's very obviously with the art style and everything. Like Fortnite is a game more tailored toward kids. It's not a hardcore military sim or anything like that. Very goofy and fun and
I have
colorful.
a question.
Mm-hmm.
What if I told you that they can't?
Can't what?
They can't have these more strict and clear guidelines.
I mean, they probably can't. I'm just saying that's what I think would ease people's concerns.
Right.
I'm not saying that's going to happen or that it will happen or that it can happen, but I think that's what people want to see. Now I understand why people probably won't see that. But like I said, I think I'm more hopeful than most people are on the situation just because it seems like they're listening when they don't have to. Because they could have easily just not listened, you know.
The thing is that it seems so. Yes, they can listen to us, right? They have the option to. Even if they listen to us, it's going to take a long time to actually come to the changing of the wording of COPPA.
Oh, I mean that's
like a
that's
very
like
long
everything
time.
though. It's like with
Yeah,
everything. Though.
it's everything, but it's still going to take a long time. What is going to happen in that amount of time? Because YouTube has a set deadline. The January, I think it's 20th. All of the videos targeted towards kids will have no ads, no targeted ads whatsoever. On top of that, I believe the fines go into effect.
Mm-hmm.
Those
Yeah,
$42,000 fines per offense.
The rule allows for civil penalties of up to $42,530 per violation, but the FTC considers a number of factors in determining the appropriate amount, including a company's financial condition and the impact penalty could have on its ability to stay in business.
Yes.
So yeah, it says like, well, Google and YouTube paid 170 million. In another copy case settled this year, the operator paid a total civil penalties of 35,000. So I don't know if that's going to apply to like an individual creator, like a Ryan Toys Reviews type thing.
YouTube has specifically tailored this to hit the individual creator rather than YouTube themselves because they don't want to pay any more money after this huge $170 million fine, which is why they're not out. Yeah, exactly. As a company, you don't want to. So what they've done is, you would think it would make sense, right, for a company because you can kind of, as the little guy, you can kind of view YouTube as every content creator's boss, right? And as a boss, you would think that they would, offer some type of legal advice or guidelines, right?
Well, here's what I was gonna circle to. I think if they're gonna go this route, because it seems like it'll be easiest for people to self-moderate themselves, and then the risk of not self-moderating yourself is extreme punishment, which I think is what has a lot of people worried because they want their ad revenue, but they also, they don't want to face these extreme penalties. I'm sure YouTube doesn't want to do this, and I don't think they will. But if YouTube had a different way, basically they made the creators employers type thing, because I mean, brand deals and stuff can go so far, but if they implemented a way to pay people without ad revenue, then people wouldn't be so afraid to not make child content.
Yeah.
And if there was a way, I mean, it already is, but I don't know. If they could make the YouTube Kids app actually work better or as intended, but that just comes down to people and how they're going to use it, which, no guarantee on that.
Well, that's the thing, is YouTube's not going to do that, because if they were to do that and a single video were to be, deemed by the FTC not COPPA compliant, even though YouTube thought it would be, or they said it would be, YouTube themselves, because they authorized that, would have to pay that fine rather than the individual creator. So they're just going to let these channels get hit.
They could probably work out, like, if they went that route to where they're like, all right, we're going to pay child-friendly creators. You have to stick to the child-friendly guidelines. These are the guidelines that we have set out. No foul language, no suggestive themes. Basically, you have to be like rated E for everyone.
Yeah.
We do this. We'll pay you money, but you don't get ads. You can still do sponsorships on the side. Okay?
Yeah.
Say they do that. That would probably have to work on like a contractual basis, because they couldn't just have like an email agreement. I mean, it had to be like in writing.
No, yeah.
Sign up a contract.
Yeah, like they are officially employed.
I would imagine, if possible, I'm not a lawyer, I don't know if it could work that way, but they would try and work out some way to where if you broke COPPA guidelines, you were liable, not YouTube, because you agreed. YouTube told you to do this. You didn't do it. You broke contract. If the COPPA, comes after you, they come after you, not YouTube, because YouTube gave you clear guidelines to a contract that you broke.
Right.
And in breach of that contract, it could have any legal fees directed towards YouTube from COPPA are paid by the creator for breaking the rules of service or whatever.
Anyone that would sign a deal like that, by the way, is a fool. So
Yeah.
please,
I mean,
like,
you know,
they
that's
should
the thing
never
is
do
like,
that.
you know, then give people the opportunity to have like a second channel or something. But I mean, I feel like most people who are doing like if they were going to go that were like, because it could work in a way because like maybe it is like paid by view. So
Mhm.
like if you go that route, you get paid by view because kids' videos are where the views are at. That's where you're getting millions of views.
Yeah.
You know. So I mean, it works for YouTube because they get the viewership and they get the watch time because kids will sit on their phone for hours and watching YouTube. I mean, fuck, I even do it myself. So if they did it like kind of paid by view to keep, you know, people interested in making child content,
Mhm.
then, you know, I could see it. If it probably wouldn't rival ads, but if it could be somewhat comparable, then, you know, plus, I mean, I don't know, I don't make child's content, but I feel like it's easier to make child's content because the child can be pretty easily entertained for the most part.
Yeah.
So it probably wouldn't take, you just got to be kind of like loud and expressive and nice colors in the thumbnail. I mean, I'm kind of simplifying it to anybody who makes child content. Sorry about that. But, you know, it, you can kind of see where you're going. You can get easily into a pattern and just drop videos one after another, rack
Yeah.
up millions of views, and, you know, you can make up for not having ads.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and then, you know, it would have to be like, you could make other content, but it couldn't be associated with that channel if people want it, because you know not everybody wants to just continuously make family friendly content, maybe.
Right.
But like somebody's like Orion's Toys Reviews, it'd be perfect for them. They have no interest in branching out to doing something else, but maybe when Ryan turns like 18 and he wants to start a gaming channel and start cursing everywhere, you know, like he can just make his own channel,
Mhm.
and you know, Ryan's Toys Review will basically be dead. But either way, like I think if, you know, I don't think YouTube will do anything like that though, just because getting people on board with it and then they'd have to pay people, so they'd have to work out a pay model and everything like that.
Mhm.
I don't know if they want to do that, but they also probably don't want to pay another $170 million in fines to COPPA,
Yeah.
so or the FTC.
Yeah.
So I mean, maybe it would be worth it for them because you know they'd keep family-friendly content on the platform, so they'd
Mhm.
still get money from that. They'd just pay creators, but they'd get watch time and traffic to their site still. And then, you know, sponsorships can still be done, and maybe YouTube has like YouTube could then work with creators even more to where YouTube could basically front a store for merch and take like 10% of it so they could recoup some of that cost. Like there's, you know, things like that could be a thing that could work, but is that ever going to happen? I don't think so.
Yeah.
Just because that's a lot of work on YouTube's end to get that off the ground. If they'd been laying the groundwork for something like that, you know, this whole 12 years or whatever,
And they clearly have not.
which no, they haven't.
To get themselves in this situation in the first place.
That's the thing is that's where it kind of comes back to that I can't villainize the FTC that much, even, you know, because they are just people who don't do the YouTube thing, but they want to protect the children. At least they're listening, but they still have to, you know, try and protect the kids. As much as I think it's, you know, like targeted as towards kids. I don't think that's such a terrible thing, but I could see how, you know, especially like parents wouldn't want that, and like getting information from children about their viewing habits as they grow. Like I could see, like if I was a parent, I could see how I'd be like, I don't think I like that. I don't want that to be a thing. And you having like no say over it really could, you know, rub people the wrong way. But I think it's more on YouTube for failing in the past 12 years to come up with a way to work out a system, you know. I know they changed like the with the whole like what is
Well,
it?
they
How
had
to
it.
become
Their system was fine. It's just that they ran their mouths over the last like year.
I mean, it still would have came back either way because they're not wrong. That I mean, it's kind of one of those things. It's probably just a matter of time.
No, legally they were fine. Before they made those public statements, they were fine because on their terms of service, even though, you know, children didn't have permission, quote unquote, they had the implicit permission of their parents. It was in YouTube's policy once you actually make an account with YouTube. So legally they were fine. They just fucked themselves. they just went and ran their mouths, and that was it. That's what got them in this situation.
Well, I feel like it probably would have still came out somewhere just because like anytime you talk about like saving the children, I mean that's why like video games come under fire like all the time because yeah, think about I mean that's why loot boxes are at where they're at now. it's not because, people like you and me were buying loot boxes
Yeah.
and, gambling our lives away on loot boxes. It's because it was happening to kids. Nobody gave a shit until it happened to kids. Now that it happened to kids, people now are like, oh, this is terrible. It's like, they've been fucking ripping me off and making me gamble for years now, but nobody gave a shit then. But now, some 8-year-old spends $500 on Fortnite skins, and fucking senators and presidential candidates want to jump in and say loot boxes are bad and try and get in on the conversation. Like, okay.
You mean
I
trying
mean,
to
it's good.
steal young votes?
Yeah, right.
That's what you mean. You know what?
I
have a
don't know. They
conspiracy
might
theory
not get
for you.
any. Huh?
I have a conspiracy theory for you.
Oh, okay, what's that? I love these.
Everything was fine. Okay, everything was good
To the Fire Nation.
until the boomers attacked. All right, everything was going just fine, and then the internet started throwing around "Okay, boomer." It was a huge thing on YouTube,
and they're
and
like,
now
all right,
look
well,
who's
the
getting
boomers are in
hit.
power.
Look who's getting hit, all because of "Okay, boomer."
Well, yeah. I mean, it could be, but I'm just saying, it's always like, if you ever want to get people, like, if you want a call to action, you just got to throw out the think of the children. Like, that's just like, especially like the older people in power, for some reason they have a really hard, like, they just have a hard on for protecting the kids from anything and everything, which makes sense. The children should be protected.
It's
But at this
just like my
time,
man Michael Jordan once said in a hot spicy meme. Fuck them kids.
fuck them kids. Yeah. I mean, we'll see where it goes. I think it just kind of depends on. I mean, I think COPPA will listen. They'll take into consideration. They'll probably. I don't think they'll do exactly what people want, but they'll do what they feel is right. And then I think it's going to come down to kind of YouTube, if YouTube can adapt.
Meanwhile,
I feel like it should
YouTube
more
will
on
be
YouTube.
absolutely just fucking up, and their system will be absolutely
Oh, yeah.
garbage for
I have no
months at a
faith-
time.
I have no faith in them, but that's how I see it best, like, actually working out.
They're gonna
is
take us
YouTube
down.
Getting their shit together. Yeah, fuck it. We'll just make another channel.
Right? No problem. We have no stake in this, unlike the poor people that will probably lose like 80% of their revenue.
Yeah, that's the
come
biggest
January.
thing that sucks right now, is that, like, they just fucking jumped the gun and said no ads. Like, man. And, like, if they said no ads, but we have, like, even if it was like a shitty replacement, like, it didn't
Yeah.
even have to be like that great of a replacement, but like if they had something like, okay, yeah, your revenue is going to get cut a lot, but, like,
Well, to
we
my
have a
knowledge,
few other things.
they can still run ads, but it's targeted ads.
Yeah. I mean, I think Philip DeFranco talked about it. I think it's like it can cut down to, like, it'll definitely cut like over 50% of people's revenue. And then there's no anything after that.
There's no viable way to live for some of these guys.
Maybe if they could work with, I don't know, because Google, like, because YouTube runs Google at, like, Google's, like, I mean, because I was thinking maybe, like, they could find better ads.
They
Yeah,
won't,
but-
by the way. Not for
Yeah.
YouTube. YouTube hasn't made money, I believe, in the last like 8 years.
Right.
Like YouTube is
But-
just this like hole that they've bought, and they just can't
But
find a way to
that
make money
hole
off
that
it.
they bought is also taking in tons of information.
Yeah,
You know,
it's the biggest
I mean,
platform, video platform in
that's
the
why
world.
whole, like, targeted ads. It's because they're getting all the information about you. That's why when you think about buying a coat hanger, next thing you see is an ad from IKEA for a coat hanger,
Yeah,
and you didn't even, like, search it, but they know.
Yeah.
They know somehow. I mean, that's probably more worth it to them than anything. They'll waste their money. I mean, speaking of wasting money from Google, fucking Stadia. It's clear representation that they don't really give a shit, and they'll just start throwing money at things until it works.
I can't tell if that was a segue, but let's talk about Stadia for a hot minute.
It was because I saw the opportunity. I'm telling you, your boy's good with segues. Okay.
Dude, I'm gonna leave you with I'm gonna leave. So here's your responsibilities now forever.
Mhm.
Okay,
Mhm.
graphics,
Mhm.
thumbnails,
Mhm.
segues.
Got it.
That's all you.
I got it, dude. I got it. But speaking of our segue, another segue into the segue I already set up:
Ooh.
Google Stadia and Google wasting money. So, leading up to it, watching like the Inside Gaming videos, after watching them, I was like, really, I was like, who is this for? Like, I mean, I can see who it's for, but at the same time, like, here's the thing: is I think if it had better games, people would get over the the hitches of because like early adopters, if you bought it, you're probably an early adopter, and usually early adopters don't give a shit if things are broken when they get it because they're an early adopter. They're
Yeah.
ground floor.
They got the money to burn.
Exactly, which is fine. I've early adopted some things too. And Stadia could have been something I could have been interested in early adopting if it just had good games. Like it,
Oh boy.
let's hang on. Let me pull up here Stadia
Hashtag Stadia has no
game
games.
library because let's see. All
We
right.
can't even call it the console wars anymore. We got to call it like the streaming, like flame wars, right? That's what it was.
I mean, I don't even know. Okay, so play your favorite games without a console. I like how they're advertising Cyberpunk 2077 and it's not out yet. All right,
wait,
so here's
it's
some of
supposed to
the
come out at all?
Cyberpunk?
Oh, on Stadia?
Apparently they're listing it on the website.
It won't be.
Now this is
What the
this is
fuck?
the Premier Edition. Okay, so let's look at this. We have Assassin's Creed Odyssey, which is a good game, but it's a year old.
Okay.
Attack on Titan 2 Final Battle. Really, who gives a shit besides some weebs, and if they've already bought it on PlayStation. Baldur's Gate 3, I think that's not actually out yet, is it? I
Hang
think
on.
that's like
Before we
coming
go
up.
through their list, can you explain to me what the hell Stadia is?
Oh yeah, I guess that's a
I'm
good
your
point.
average consumer. I don't even know what that is.
So Stadia is on live, but better. Was it on live? Was that the very old streaming service, supposed to be streaming
What the
service?
fuck is on live?
Did you not? Oh, bro, you didn't know what? Hang on, let me make sure I'm right on this. I'm pretty sure it's on live. Yeah, dude, on live, cloud gaming company, founded in 2003. Man, they were they jumped the gun, man. They were in the future. They were already in 2020 back in like 2003 with their thoughts.
What?
But
Okay.
yeah. So basically, it's Netflix for gaming. It's game streaming. So you don't have to buy a console, you don't have to buy hardware, you don't have to buy a super expensive PC. Although apparently you do have to buy their fucking expensive controller.
How much is a controller? I actually don't know.
Okay, so Stadia Premier Edition includes Chromecast Ultra, which is like supposed to be the better way to play it.
Okay.
3 months of the Stadia Pro and the controller for $130. So I mean, you're still getting it at less than
A
a
console.
console. But here's the thing: okay, you have to have like the Google Chromecast or whatever. You can also use it for if you have a computer. But if you have a computer, why the fuck are you using Stadia? The other thing is it's supposed to work with phones, but right now it only works with the highest end Google phones.
As a
I'm pretty
display
sure.
or a controller?
As like an actual like just to run the games, and they were supposed to sell like a clip that attached to their controller to put your phone in,
Uh-huh.
and then you can stream to the phone. But I don't think the $100 whatever Premier Edition, from what I've gathered, it didn't actually launch with the clip thing, and I don't even think that feature's out yet. It launched with a lot of missing fucking features.
So when you get this thing, because I want to make sure I got this right, because now
Mhm.
I thought I had it right, and apparently maybe I don't.
Mhm.
So if you buy Stadia, you get a version of Google Chrome.
Yeah, the best
But
version of
it's-
Google Chrome there
Or
is.
like a Chromecast.
Yeah, the Chromecast Ultra. Yeah.
Okay, never heard of that until this moment in time. So
Mhm.
that's one thing that I didn't know was a thing. And then it could stream to any device as long as you have the controller and a TV that was
So
connected to the internet.
yes, so that was the goal. That
Oh,
was
okay.
the what was supposed to be, right?
Okay.
And then it gets closer to launch time, and it turns out a lot of the features it was supposed to have, like there was. I actually want to pull this up. But there's supposed to be a lot of features that it was supposed to have, and then they did like a Reddit AMA, and they just started listing off features that weren't going to be there on launch.
Okay.
Features. But yeah, it's supposed to be basically if you have a device, you can get Stadia on it, and then you can stream the game to whatever that device is. It's like your phone, the Chromecast Ultra. If you have a computer, like You could stream it to a laptop. The only thing you would need is the internet speed.
The internet
You
speed and the
wouldn't need
controller.
the hardware, right? So theoretically, you would be able to play 4K games, 60 frames per second on like, your phone, if your phone could even do that, or like say like a laptop. Maybe it's got a really good display, but it doesn't have the graphic power. It's integrated graphics or whatever. It could never run a game at 4K. Theoretically, you could get Stadia. You could play 4K gaming on that computer without it being a gaming computer. Or if you have like an all-in-one desktop,
To
you
my
could do the same thing.
knowledge, the biggest issue people had when it was announced was that the streaming at 4K, I believe it was like it would make your internet provider cap out your data within like a week. I believe it was something like you could only play, if you wanted to play games on Google Stadia for a month, you could only play for like 30 minutes to like an hour per day every day, and that would be the end of that. Like
Yeah,
you'd be
it
capped out.
depends. It would just all depend on like who your service provider is. Most places don't offer like truly unlimited data plans anymore. So, yeah, basically. So that's one hiccup. Second hiccup, it's obviously latency. That's the biggest thing with streaming. It doesn't matter so much when you're watching a show on Netflix because you're not inputting anything. Like you're just watching something. So if there's a delay somewhere from when you're actually receiving it, you'll never know because it just keeps playing like it's supposed to. You didn't push a button to make something happen.
Do we have
So you
word on the
wouldn't notice.
latency now?
They said they used this really inventive term. It's like negative latency or something like that. They tried to dress it up, but it's basically the same thing as what fighting games do. So like it's basically predictive to where it's supposed
Oh,
to
hang on.
know what you're gonna do. Like,
hang on. Give it a second. You're cutting out quite
oh,
a bit now.
oh, okay, hang on. Probably this website that I've pulled up. Let me close this. I'll just pull it up on.
Oh boy.
Okay. How do I?
Oh boy,
how is it
you are
now?
cutting out quite a bit. It's
Still?
it's okay. It's stabilized.
Okay, cool. Close like everything out. I'll just use my phone. Okay, so for the latency, they came up with like this really fancy like negative latency or whatever the fuck they called it. Obviously, like cool hype words to say that we fixed latency. And what it was supposed to be is like what they do in fighting games. So the like the AI and stuff is supposed to learn your playing style and how you play. And then it would basically generate a bunch of options that it thinks you're going to do. And then if you wind up picking that option, it's already preloaded in there. So then it just selects that. It's kind of like a choose your own adventure book, if that makes sense.
Okay.
So it'd basically be like, okay, you're walking down an alley and you can like, either turn left, turn right, jump, or shoot. And so it reads you, it's supposed to know you, so it knows, okay, you're probably going to jump because you're like jumping around like an idiot. So it's going to load the jump frame and the jump animation and the jump data while also loading the other ones. But it's already preloaded, so by the time you push it, then it's supposed to just do it already because it's already loaded up. It just needs you to put the button in. So theoretically, it could, if it were to work as intended, it should be guessing your moves 100 times before you are, and as long as you're not like doing anything too rapidly stupid or deviant than how you would actually play a game, it should be able to predict what you're going to do and already have it ready for you to do it, so there's no latency. You don't see it. It's already
I feel like
basically
that
made up
would
its mind.
be I feel like that would take way more data.
That's the thing is like they have the data centers to do it though. It's fucking Google.
Well,
Like,
I mean, but my fucking internet doesn't have
well,
the
it's because
bandwidth for this.
I'm pretty sure that's handled like server side. So like the server is doing that and it's interpreting it as soon as you do it. Like basically the second you do it, it sends you that information. So it doesn't send you all the information and then your system like picks the one.
Okay.
Like it's deciding all this on its end and then sending what you picked back to you, but it doesn't have to wait for you to pick it because it's already guessed you're going to pick it.
So those predictions are solely on their end, and it's not a thing that's affecting my connection.
From what I understand, yes, I'm not like an engineer or anything like that, but I'm pretty sure that's kind of how it works. Fighting games kind of use like a same model because it's fighting games, you want the most minimal latency you can possibly get because timing and frames are everything.
But now it's just every game.
Yeah, so basically they were trying to apply that to every game. But there's a video on Twitter of some, I don't know who it was, don't know if he was like a Japanese developer or something like that, but he had the kit and he was sitting there pushing the space bar in Destiny 2 for him to jump. And it was like he'd push it, like seconds delay, and then he would jump. So, but I think it depends a lot on your internet because some people were reporting like they had no no latency. It was good to go, 4K, worked like a dream, like it was intended. Other people would push the jump bar or the space bar to jump, and there'd be like a 2 second delay before they jumped.
Right, the class war.
Yeah, so it's a little bit of a mixed bag. So when it comes to that, it's like still new technology. You can forgive it for that, right? Like, okay, it's not going to be perfect, but at least like it works as intended some of the time. So, and then it was supposed to have like a lot of cool features like playing with other people and like I'm pretty sure like their screenshot button doesn't even work for
Ooh.
some reason. Yeah, I don't know. I want to look up the Cut Stadia features. How the fuck do you spell feature? Okay, there you go.
All the cut features.
More platform agnostic sort of pricing. All right. Well, while I try and look this up, the games were kind of the next big hit. Okay, Stream Connect feature. Okay, so for one, Stadia's Stream Connect feature, which lets players stream their gameplay to each other's accounts with elements of interactivity, won't be landing at launch. So, I'm not entirely sure how that would work. I guess you could stream your gameplay to somebody else and they could interact with your gameplay when you do that. I'm guessing. That's what it sounds like to me. Other missing features include crowd play. Oh, that was one that seemed kind of cool, allowing streamers to play games with their viewers, gifting Stadia subscriptions, sharing save data between accounts, or compatibility with Chromecast Ultra streaming devices, which haven't shipped with Stadia.
So, like, to my knowledge, it was what was it? People that were getting the founders kits, they were supposed to get some kind of code, right? That was like you could like I guess refer a friend or something like that. But like
some people didn't even get the code to actually
the
activate
codes
the service.
weren't happening at all.
Yeah, some people didn't get the codes just to use the thing.
To use their own service
that they bought. Yeah, it didn't ship with codes. That's another thing is their shipping is all fucked up. They're like they sold out and they started selling more, and they're like people who it's going to be delivered on a first come first serve basis, and if you delivered like day one, you might not even get it day one. And they were like they'll all be delivered in like 2 weeks, but like 2 fucking weeks for somebody who dropped $130 on something that probably knew wasn't going to be as good as promised. Hopefully they knew and tapered their expectations, but like come on now.
I mean, it's one thing to just be like
overheating.
It's one thing to be shitty. It's another thing to just not get your product that you paid for.
Yeah, right. Let's see. What else was there? Yeah, there was the shipping issue. Chromecasts were overheating from what I heard. Man. And like I said, like the game. Ugh. I mean, they have like Borderlands 3, but just imagine how the menus would be on Borderlands 3 on Stadia.
We literally don't play Borderlands 3 on our consoles right now because of how garbage the menus are right now.
That's what I'm saying. The biggest things were like, so it was supposed to like Destiny 2 was kind of like their flagship, and like I guess Bungie was saying they were working with Google and Stadia to like deliver the best Destiny 2 experience you could have. And they're like, it's going to be 4K, but I guess one of the Bungie devs said that it wasn't actually native 4K. So that's a thing. So you have that. You have Metro Exodus. I mean, cool. Mortal Kombat 11. I wouldn't play a fighting game on Stadia.
Hang on.
Bold move of them including one. That's gonna. I feel like that would just show the latency the most out of any fucking game. Borderlands 3, Darksiders Genesis, which is like I don't know. It's some different. It's not like a normal mainline Darksiders game.
I want you to know I'm gonna have to cut out like half of what you just said right now because of how bad that lag was.
Oh really?
Yeah, it was bouncing around like crazy.
Okay, am I back now?
You're back now.
Where did I leave off?
Well, honestly, it was throwing me for such a loop how terrible all that was. Like I just, I was a little lost.
All right, well, I'm pretty sure I got through Destiny 2.
No.
I did not?
The last thing that you said that came out clearly was Bungie was working with Stadia.
Yeah. Oh, okay. And they were supposed to make it like 4K, but I guess it's not true 4K. It's upres to 4K. So there was that. Um, Metro Exodus, Mortal Kombat 11, Borderlands 3, which we already talked about.
Yeah.
Guilt, which is the only first-party game for Stadia. I don't know how it is. Samurai Showdown, another fighting game. Bad idea. Farming Simulator 19. I'm gonna go buy one right now just for that. Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2. Doom Eternal when it comes out. Grid, Assassin's Creed Odyssey, Rage 2, Tom Clancy Breakpoint, Wolfenstein Youngblood,
Got it.
all of the fucking Tomb Raider
so
games.
it's all old games.
It's all games from last year, or like Tom Clancy's Breakpoint, which wasn't that good. From what I heard, it was absolute trash. Yeah, like nothing. I mean, Borderlands 3, Mortal Kombat, or like
Right.
newer.
Right. I get
yeah.
the gist. It's all old shit.
It's nothing new. It's nothing good. Like fucking Tomb Raiders. Because here's the thing about it, right? So you have to buy the controller. I think right now you have to have the controller, and it actually can't go wireless unless it's being used on the Chromecast. The whole thing is it's supposed to be a wireless controller. You can
Who
use
wants
anything
this
'cause it's
fucking thing?
wireless.
Who
That's what I'm saying.
who is
Who's
this thing designed for?
Right. I don't even know. Nobody, I feel like.
Let's
But-
think about this, okay? The bandwidth it would take up is so insane that you could
Yeah, you
really
have to have-
only play for like an hour a day. Look, I know you and I don't have the most time to play games anymore like we used to, but
Mhm.
when we do not play for 1 fucking hour a day.
Right.
No.
Right.
We go hard. We play for like 6 hours minimum, probably all day, every day, just playing
Right.
this shit. This isn't even counting the data you use on your phone, just hanging out, existing in your house.
That's another thing. To download games, you had to go into the mobile app for Stadia to start the download game. You couldn't even do it from like using the actual Stadia itself. So
Jesus Christ, dude. Look,
that was another thing.
Disney Plus just came out. There's no fucking way that I'm gonna only use Stadia and then what? I can't watch shows. I can't watch The Mandalorian.
Which is fantastic. I
Yeah.
actually just watched episode 4, so I'm all caught up.
Oof, we gotta talk about The Mandalorian like once it finishes. I feel.
True that. Baby Yoda's fantastic.
And we're back. We're back. It's the Baby Yoda podcast,
It's the
everybody.
Baby Yoda podcast. But that does, I mean, I think we shit on Stadia enough. In the vein of Star Wars, I did kind of quickly want to go over the Disneyland lightsaber experience.
Ooh,
'cause
your
that was pretty cool.
experience, dude. Okay, tell me. Okay, so for everyone that does not know, and well, anyone that listens to this is probably going to be our friends, but
True that.
I
True that.
adore Disneyland. Now, this is the first year I've ever in my life gotten a pass, an annual pass to go to Disneyland. The last time I went before I got this pass was 5 years ago, before they updated a lot of stuff. And I have already experienced Star Wars Galaxy's Edge. I have built my own BB unit droid that I have and I display proudly, beautifully. I have my own lightsaber because I paid for the experience to have the lightsaber experience. I want to know, because this is your first time, I want to know, okay, what was your favorite area in Disneyland?
So favorite area?
Yes, like your favorite, like, because, they have sections.
Yeah.
What was your favorite area?
It would definitely be Galaxy's Edge. I will say, though, a little small.
Okay, fair.
It's a little small, but I mean, just being a huge Star Wars fan, like walking into it, you feel like one thing I think is really cool about it is that going into Galaxy's Edge, it's like they have like the lamps and the trees, and there's not like a sign that says like Galaxy's Edge or anything, but like when we first walked through, we kind of stumbled into it. Like I knew I was going the right direction, but I didn't know like how far. I wasn't looking at my phone because my phone was about to die.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, I know we need to walk that way, so let's walk that way. So we're walking. We walk through like a little rock tunnel, and then there's just some lamps and some trees. But as like you're walking, the music starts sounding a little different than normal Disneyland. It was like quiet at that time because it was like nighttime. So then like the music starts changing. I'm like listening to it, and I'm like, are we getting closer? Because this sounds eerily like Star Warsy type music right now.
Yes.
And then like around a corner, and I see like a few shops. It's like the what is it, the Rebel Refugee or whatever, where like they sell the Rebel shit, not the first
little
Empire,
stands.
whatever. Yeah, exactly. I see that. I'm like, oh, we are there. And like by the time like we turn the next corner, boom, like you see the actual like galaxy's edge and everything. And it was just so cool for that moment. Like, because you feel like you're walking into Star Wars. Like I turned the
Yeah.
corner, I looked at it, and I was like, yeah, that's like that would be a set on a Star Wars film. That's it, you
It's
know?
so disconnected from the park that when you do enter that region of the park, it feels like another place.
Right, and that's what I love about it. It doesn't feel like a Disneyland area. It feels like a Star Wars area, and
Yeah.
it's so far off. I hope they do take like the whole rebel refugee thing, and they don't. Yeah, it's not just like two stands and some people standing around. Like if they added on to that and made it something, that'd be cool. Like the first Empire has like the little blast doors that are open, and like they have like an actual like little shop set up. I mean, I guess I get it because they're like refugees,
Right.
but you know, um, not that big though. There's only like three like shops for the most part, not including like the lightsaber shop and where you do the lightsaber and the BB unit. There's like the one food place. There's the milk stand. I didn't get to do the smuggler's run thing. I didn't get to do that because we weren't waiting 50 minutes for it. Oh, she was ready to go home. um, so we didn't do that. But just, I mean, I remember when turning the corner and seeing like the giant X-wing, I was like, oh,
So you did not ride the only ride that they have in Galaxy's Edge.
no, just because we couldn't like I couldn't figure out how to like could you reserve that with the fast pass because it wasn't on the app that I was.
Okay, it's one of the few that you cannot. No.
Okay, see, yeah. That's the thing is we were trying to because since it was our first time at Disneyland, we were trying to get as much done as possible. So
Fair.
we had a lot of other rides we had to do. Although I will say Hyperspace Mountain, my favorite ride, not because it's like a thrilling roller coaster, but because the Star Wars soundtrack is playing the whole time as you hear like blaster noises, like the graphics on it, like on the screens for like when the stuff is shooting is not that good. It's not very immersive. Like half the time I didn't even notice there was planes flying around, but just like going around hearing blaster noises with like the Star Wars theme going off and like people talking, you're like red leader and all that other shit like that
So
was cool.
I have another question.
Mhm.
Did you record your experience?
I did. Well,
Okay.
the girlfriend did.
So she recorded. Okay. So
Yeah.
what you're gonna do? Here's what we're gonna do right now. You are going to send me that video. Okay. We're gonna put it up on the visual right here. So starting now, you should be able to see DJ being a fantastic man building whatever he builds. Okay. Tell me about this experience. First of all, what did you build? What did you do? Tell me.
So
Start from the beginning.
what's that one called? It's the elemental nature.
No, hang on,
Yeah.
hang on. Where did you go?
Oh, to actually like build the lightsaber.
So you built a lightsaber.
Oh, okay.
I see. Tell me
Okay.
this.
Yes. Okay. So built a lightsaber. So you have to like reserve a spot to go do it. Their whole cancellation policy that we talked about, like that's just a little insane to me, but I get it. I guess. That's a different topic. But as far as the actual going and doing it itself, have to reserve a time, get there. They're very specific about their times because I was like 10:10. I got there like 10:08, and the group before me like hadn't gone in yet, so I didn't actually go in until like 10-15 minutes after or something like that.
That'll happen. Yeah.
But basically, you reserve the time, you go there, you sign in, and then you walk up to the lady there, and they all stay in character, which is pretty cool. And basically, like, I read something about it, and it really resonates with me. Like, it's really cool to like have the experience. Like, you kind of like go to a place that's not well marked. It doesn't stand out, but it's not supposed to stand out because it's supposed to be kind of like a secretive thing, you know, like you're hiding from the Empire building a lightsaber. You're not supposed to do it. So that was kind of cool.
Yeah.
But like, you get up to the thing, and she's like, okay, that'll be $215, please. You're like, fuck. Like, it's so cool. Like, you see the lightsaber parts, and like, oh, I want to make something out of those. And like, cool. And like, all right, cool. $215. Swipe on the droid, which is the fucking ATM where you swipe the card or whatever.
They
The
called it a
plastic.
droid?
Yeah, they called it a droid.
That's
Because
hilarious.
the guy in front of me tried to like insert his card, and she's like, oh, it's an old droid. You have to swipe. So I mean, it's all good up until that point. And then they try and like save it. They're like, okay, here's your pin, you know, you got to put it over your heart or whatever, like, you know, trying to kind of get you back into it.
Yeah.
They give you like your credit to get in and everything. It's supposed to kind of like secretive. So then you go, you sit there and you wait. You have your pin on, and you just kind of sit there with a bunch of people while they get everything ready. Then they open the door, like they usher you in, and it's all kind of like everybody's staying in character, thanks for coming type thing, like thanks traveler and all this other shit. And then you get into the room, and basically somebody like from the one of the cast members or whatever they call themselves stands in the middle, starts talking about like lightsabers and stuff while you all line up around it. And you have like a little thing, like a little cradle to hold the lightsaber, and a little dish to the side that you put your kyber at. But it's pretty cool because like they have the music going, the lights are changing with it. Like whenever they talk about each individual Jedi who had, because you pick the kyber crystal first. So whenever they talk about the
What's a
colors of
kyber
every
crystal?
kyber, oh yeah, that's what goes in the lightsaber. It basically makes the lightsaber the lightsaber. For building it, it makes the color of the lightsaber. So, which they have what? Blue, green, red, purple. Am I missing any on that? Blue,
They
red,
got
green, purple.
white.
Is white one you can get off the bat?
No,
Off the bat. Off
in
the bat.
the actual experience, they only offer red, blue, green, and purple.
Okay, yeah, blue, green, and purple. Basically, as the person's explaining the crystals to you, their color, their meaning, like what they represent, famous Jedi who had that color lightsaber or that crystal or whatever, like the light above you changes to that color, which is kind of cool to like set the mood for it and everything like that. And then they talk about, they have like the Imperial pods behind them, which is where they got the crystals. So like, we had to go through a lot to get these. A lot of people sacrificed themselves or whatever to get these crystals, all that shit. So it's like, oh, cool. It's really important, like a big deal, all that cool shit.
Yeah, they ham it up for you.
Yeah, yeah, they do. And the thing is like, I'm a big Star Wars fan. So, I was down for it. But I could see how somebody who like wasn't and they just wanted it would be like, this is kind of because it is kind of cheesy, but like at the same time, like if you've thought about having a lightsaber that was your lightsaber since like a kid, it you kind of overlook the cheesiness of it.
How
So
into it was your group? Like, was it like were they like super into it? Like, was there some kids or adults or like what's?
yeah, there was a few kids. The kid next to me, it was pretty cool. It was funny. He picked the red one, and like the host lady, she was like, she was like trying to keep balance with the force or whatever, because we can't all be good, I guess. And
Yeah.
she's like, but I'll be watching you. So I was like, oh, okay, that's kind of funny because they talk about how red is like power and usually Sith stuff like that.
Right.
That was pretty cool. Nobody got like super over like sentimental about it. Like the kids who were there were like, they obviously were loving it. The kid next to me seemed like he was just like having a great time going through it. The adults there were like, you know, just excited to build a lightsaber. They didn't really care about much else. Kind of like the same, but it's pretty cool when they bring around like the little stones. Like they're in this kind of canister thing and they're all lit up and you get to pick out which one you want, which I picked purple because,
Because purple.
yeah, exactly. So that's pretty cool. And then they do some more talking about building lightsaber. They kind of explain the pieces and what they are, what they're for, and everything like that. And then they bust out the actual components. And the way it works is there's like 4 different sets. So you pick one of the sets, and in that set there's a few different things you can connect. Like you have to have like one emitter, one end, and like the two in the middle, the 2 grips, and then there's like the 2 types of switches you can pick. There's a decent variety. It's not like a crazy amount. Like you don't get to pick from all 4 different ones. It's not like Jedi Fallen Order where you can take one from elemental nature and combine it with power and control.
Right.
Stick within your group.
It's more like you get there's what is it? I believe there's 4 different aesthetics. There's 2 different options within each aesthetic choice. So
Yeah,
all in all, for each
sounds about
piece,
right.
there are 8 different pieces, but you only get to select from 2 from a style that you have chosen.
Yeah, exactly. Like your kind of style locks you into 2 different sets that you can mix and match the sets if you want to. They look better if you try and keep them together,
Right.
but you can do what you want within that set. So you put the crystal in there, you put the switch on, make sure it's working. Then you put the handle parts on the sleeves. You pick 2 sleeves, put them on there. Then you put the end of it and the emitter on. So once you get it all built, make sure everything's nice and snug. Do a few practice clicks before, and then they come around and the people grab it and they make sure. And it's pretty cool because they like tell you like at least about one piece of your lightsaber, at least from what I've noticed. with everybody else, it sounded like they were doing the same thing. Like as they're inspecting your lightsaber, they're not just like checking it out to make sure you like built it right. They also pick out a piece of the lightsaber. I'm guessing like each one of them has like a piece of information that they can give to you. And so like mine, I had the tooth on the end, and she was like, like there's like lines, like kind of like looks like somebody tore it with like a claw or something like that.
Okay.
And she was like, the tooth, like these these rips in it are like cavities apparently. So the
Really?
yeah, so the tooth that I have, what are they, rancors? The rancor who it was in apparently had cavities. So that's like a cool little piece of information. The kid next to me, she was telling him something about like the emitter that he had on his lightsaber, like a little fun fact about the emitter he had.
Uh huh.
So I thought that was like a nice touch.
Yeah.
So now I know my rancor tooth has, head cavity. That's, fun little bullshit. So once they check it out, make sure everything's good, they set it down, they dim the lights, and then they, like you gotta feel the force, and like there's a part where they make you close your eyes. I think they make you close your eyes when you pick the crystal. It kind of it, it kind of turns from like this weird drug deal in a back alley to like this spiritual experience. Like, yeah, like whenever you're going in there, it's like you're going for a drug deal. But then when you're in there, it's like a religious, spiritual experience that you're going through.
Yeah.
So it's a little weird, but um, then basically comes the time where they go around and they put all the lightsabers, like they attach them to the actual blade of the lightsaber because it doesn't collapse. It's all one unit, and they're all kind of like hidden under like a little case
Yeah.
type thing that's to the side of you, and they stick it on there, and they have you step back, and then they tell everybody all at once to step forward. They've brought the lights down at this point, and then you grab it, and they tell you to flip the switch, and the little cover that's over it is like kind of like clear on the top, so you just see the glow come on of whatever color you picked, and then like the cover just rolls over, like mechanically, and then boom, there's your lightsaber glowing in all its glory, and they tell you to take it out, and everybody raises their lightsabers together, and you're holding this fine lightsaber with the color you picked, and like the music's playing. It's dark, so it's all like nice and pretty looking, cool. And then on your way out, they give you kind of like a shitty carrying case for it that doesn't. Everything else in there is very like in the Star Wars universe, and then the carrying case they give you is like it's just like a carrying case you'd put like a pool stick in, cheap one.
Yeah.
But it's actually not that bad of a carrying case, but they didn't spice it up aesthetically to because it looks very, modern with like a logo on it.
Yeah.
They could have like made it look more worn or something like that. But
I'm not gonna lie to you. I hated that carrying case so much that I spent another $50
on
at
the other one,
Disneyland just to get the other one with a
Mhm.
leather strap, and
Mhm.
oh my god, the difference is night and day.
right? Yeah,
It's
I figured.
insane.
I saw it there, but I was like, I've already spent too much fucking money because,
Yeah.
like I said, it's $215 fucking dollars.
Yeah, you're not wrong. You are not
And
wrong.
then, yeah. So like all in all, like the build quality on it is pretty good. Like it doesn't feel cheap and plasticky.
It's metal.
Yeah, which is really nice. They'd all fit together pretty well, except my bottom, the tooth on my bottom, since it like kind of curves out.
Hmm.
It's kind of specific to like certain bottom pieces
Yeah.
because I want it to like face a certain way because it kind of like curves, curves outward.
Yeah.
So like the normal ones, like you just screw on the bottom, it doesn't matter. Like it goes on, it's fine.
Yeah, it's
So
an alignment issue.
Yeah, so I kind of have to like play with mine to get it exactly where I want to.
Hmm.
But besides that, like all the pieces I had actually like screwed on the right way to where they lined up like they needed to. Because like on mine, it has like a lot of filigree on it and stuff, like engraving
Yes.
type looking stuff.
Yes.
So that's what I was kind of worried about, like it not lining up perfectly. But the emitter and the top part of my sleeve that I have are like meant to line up. And when I
Mhm.
screwed them on like nice and tight, they lined up perfectly for me. So I was like, okay, cool.
Yeah. Which can be fixed, by the way, technically, quote unquote.
Right.
You
So-
can use, I believe it's, what do you call it? A washer. You can use rubber washers on them, which I don't recommend doing because I did that to mine,
Mhm.
and I actually messed up some of the alignment. Actually, worse on
okay.
mine specifically.
Yeah, the only thing I would do it for would be that bottom tooth piece
Well,
because
instead of using the washer, what you can do is you can use it's some kind of tape that they use for plumbing.
Mhm.
You
Oh,
can
yeah,
use
yeah, I
that,
know what you're
and
talking about.
that will actually work. I've tried that.
Yeah, I might do that at some point. But I mean, I love my lightsaber. I think most of the people who were there enjoyed their lightsabers as well.
Yeah. You
But
walk
it's
out feeling good.
$215 for an experience, and the experience is cool, albeit kind of a cheesy experience if you really look at it.
But was it
I
worth
mean,
it?
for me, yes. I could see how it's definitely not worth it for a lot of people. Because even being a huge Star Wars fan, I'm like, is it really worth it? Like, this is fucking $215.
Yeah.
But I mean, I got joy out of it. I was a happy giddy little kid when I raised my lightsaber up, and I was like, I built this.
See, that
Um,
alone to me is worth it. And as an annual pass holder, it's even more worth it because you can bring it back to the park.
right.
And you can really you can do whatever you want to do with that thing. I mean, if you want to have a lightsaber fight in the middle of Galaxy's Edge, you can. And then stormtroopers will come and they will tell you to stop. They will
and that's
they
what
will
makes
be
it
they
better.
will be aggressive about it too. Like they will actually like get in your face and call you scum and tell you to put your shit away. Seriously, because they don't want people fighting with their lightsabers in the middle of the park. Obviously, they don't
Right.
want anyone getting
Right.
hit. But just there's something about being told put your shit away by a stormtrooper that's like, oh my god, yes, I'm going to listen to you, but at the same time, I'm really glad you yelled at me.
Right, exactly. Yeah, I mean, it was a good experience. Little cheesy, but I think that could also depend on who you get as like your kind of host type thing, you know?
Yeah,
Depending on who you could probably get like a really good host and it probably like rolls off the tongue better. Um, $215, you do get a cool pin. And it sucks that there's a different pin for each one because that means if you wanted all of them, you'd have to spend like 800 something dollars.
that's
So,
exactly what that means. Yeah,
which is not not what I want to do.
yeah,
Um, and then there's lots of accessories you can get for it. I mean, you can buy kind of like you make this big decision where they tell you to like close your eyes and feel the force to pick the color of your lightsaber, and then you walk outside, turn right, and for $15 you can get another color. So you can go buy literally all of the colors and some extra ones too. So
which
it's
I've
not
been
like
doing 100%.
yeah,
I've been doing because I want all the colors. But for that
I
little segment where you choose the crystal, I
yeah, it
embrace the
feels cool.
cheese 100%.
Yeah, I mean I had my eyes closed and everything too.
Oh yeah,
So
I mean that's the fun of it. I mean you're paying for
yeah,
the
exactly.
experience. You should 100% actually do what they ask of you because
Right,
it's
just kind of
making it
go with it.
more authentic. Like I closed my eyes, I thought about green or purple,
Mhm.
and in front of me was green and purple, and I just got the one that was the shiniest. It happened to be a green one.
Mhm. Yeah, I think when I closed my I was feeling more blue, but I was dead set on getting purple. So I got purple
Okay, fair.
because Mace Windu. But and then I went and bought a red one, uh, just because you gotta have both.
Dude, I told you you didn't have to do that.
Well, I wanted to see if I could get a black one.
So for those of you that don't know, if you have a random chance to get a black kyber crystal. No, it will not give you a black lightsaber. It will still give you a
Which-
red one, which
I was
sucks.
about to bring up is lame.
It's super lame, but I understand because you can't have black light because black light is just purple and they already sell a purple lightsaber.
I wish they could have found a way to make it work.
It would be cool, but
I feel like
you know,
I feel like Disney has enough money they could have invested to make it work.
they
but
don't
it's
have
probably
enough
not worth
money
it.
to even ensure quality controls in the customized lightsaber.
But
It's,
all in
it's-
all, it
it's
was a
lot.
cool experience. Galaxy's Edge was pretty cool. Probably my favorite part about Galaxy's Edge is we saw Chewie walking around. And so you know the part where it has like the pod racing engine sitting over like the giant pig thing, like
Yes.
the giant ham that's on the rotator or whatever.
Yes.
Chewie was walking around and like we kind of followed him for a second and he walked up to the cage where that giant like meat is. And he was like looked over at the lady who was working at like the actual food stand over there in the
Mhm.
actual food thing. And he was like, I can't make a Chewbacca noise, but he was doing the like Chewbacca noise and like banging on the gate. And the girl over there was like, Chewie, no. And then he just looked at her, got mad, like hit it, and then walked off.
Was he making like authentic Chewbacca noises?
Yeah, it was like real Chewbacca noises. Yeah.
Oh wow.
If they hired somebody who couldn't do Chewbacca noises to be Chewbacca, I'd be so mad.
Well, I wonder if it's like, you know, a pre-recorded sound that he can just play or if it's him actually
No, I
vocally
think
making that noise.
I'm pretty sure it was just saying because it looked like his mouth was open and doing it whenever I saw him. So, but that was pretty cool. I enjoyed that part of him just being like "Arr," and like smacking the thing.
Well, I'm glad you got to
Also,
live out your dream.
yeah, I had fun. I'll build a droid next time. But I was like, I want to get the lightsaber out of it. Plus, if I ever do get my own room where I can put like a gaming setup and like stream and all that, that's going on the wall behind me. I did it for the aesthetics.
I don't
Also, the
blame you.
Guardians of the Galaxy ride is sick. I loved that ride.
Full agreement.
If I wasn't such a huge nerd fanboy and the Star Wars soundtrack didn't always make me giddy, Guardians of the Galaxy would definitely be my favorite ride. That thing was awesome.
Well, I'm glad that you enjoyed Star Wars and Disney.
I did indeed. I didn't.
But with that, I think we're out of time.
I think so. So let's go ahead and end this one, and then we'll start up another one where we talk about Modern Warfare. Because I wanted to talk about that, and here we are, an hour and 10 minutes later.
Talking about Disney.
Not even anywhere near the realm of fucking Modern Warfare.
Oh my god.
But anyway, for now, this concludes the second official Nerd Faction podcast.
Oh boy.
I hope
Very
everybody
telling
listens.
of what we listen to.
I know. I hope Adrian, Fabian, and Josh, I hope you guys had a great Thanksgiving. You guys will be the only ones who hear this.
Dude, Thanksgiving was bomb this year.
Oh, dude. It's so good. But anyway, we out.